Happy Easter, everyone, and welcome to our third Sunday school, virtual Sunday school of the Seaside UCC. This is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter broadcast because I have an Easter egg activity for you guys that you will be doing on your own. So I'll describe it to you, and then it's up to you to complete it. But first, we're going to start with Easter itself and the story of Easter and of Jesus' resurrection on Easter Day, because that is, after all, why we celebrate Easter. I'll jump right into it, and I'm going to do a reading from Luke 24. And it starts off, to give you the setting, when a group of women went to the cave where Jesus had been entombed 3 days previous. Very early in the morning, on the first day of the week, the women went to the tomb, bringing the fragrant spices they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they didn't find the body of the Lord Jesus. They didn't know what to make of this. Suddenly, 2 men were standing beside them in gleaming bright clothing. The women were frightened and bowed their faces toward the ground. But the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He isn't here," meaning Jesus, "but has been raised. Remember what he told you while he was still in Galilee? That the human one must be handed over to sinners, be crucified, and on that 3rd day rise again." Then they remembered his words. When they returned from the tomb, they reported all these things to the 11 and all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them who told these things to the apostles. So, pretty important stuff, huh? So, really everything up in the Bible up to this point, in some ways, is leading up to Jesus's resurrection on this first Easter morning. These days, when you get up Easter morning, you're probably thinking more about your Easter baskets and chocolate. But really, it's Easter. We celebrate Easter because Jesus had died, and suddenly he has risen up again. So it's very important. Now, think about what Jesus's followers back then, when they watched him die on the cross 3 days before Easter, they probably thought that was it. It's all over. They probably didn't know what to think. They might have wondered if everything that Jesus had taught them was even true. Wondered might probably wondered what they were going to do without him. And maybe they even just doubted their decision to follow him. So you can imagine their surprise when they visited his tomb, and the angel told the women not to look for the living among the dead. They went to a grave, but the angel told them Jesus wasn't there, and that everything had changed, and that he was alive again, and that he had told everyone that we can change our hearts and our lives. So what he said, we find it here, Luke 24:47. He said to them, "This is what is written. The Christ will suffer and rise from the dead on the 3rd day, and a change of heart and life for the forgiveness of sins must be preached in his name to all nations." So that is Jesus' resurrection that we celebrate on Easter. So you may be wondering, I said we're going to be doing an Easter egg activity. So what do eggs have to do with Jesus, right? There's no mention of eggs in there. There's stones, there's caves, there's wonderful things happening, but no eggs. So where do eggs come from? Well, it's not entirely clear, like some things in very old history. We don't know for certain, but it seems pretty likely that eggs were a tradition and a very important symbol from well before when Christianity even existed. They were a symbol of rebirth and life and springtime. So at this time of year, they were a very important symbol in spring, for that symbol of life that they offer. And Christianity took on the symbology of the egg in a couple different ways, it's believed. They are said to represent Jesus' emergence from the tomb, just like Jesus was resurrected from the tomb. So a baby bird would emerge from an egg. And decorating eggs is a tradition that dates back to at least the 13th century. So we're talking like 700-800 years ago, according to some sources. Another thought about the custom of eggs relating to Christianity is that it was formerly a forbidden food during the season of Lent. And so people would paint and decorate them and then be able to eat them again on Easter as a celebration. So the activity that we're going to be doing with Easter eggs, oops, I just got a message here, is, oh, and it's worldwide. So it's not just here and in America and our Western world where we decorate eggs. I like to decorate them eggs in the Ukrainian style. It's called psanki. And instead of just letting the eggs sit and die, well, that's part of it, you make patterns on them with I forget the name of it and I didn't pull it out, but it's a little stylus and it has it's just like a little wooden dowel with a little metal container on the ends. It's a little metal cone, and you scoop beeswax. You know what? Oh, I might have it right here. See if I do. I guess I can show it to you. I should have pulled it out. This is sort of cool. Yeah. Oh, I do. Just for fun, I'll show you because it's cool stuff. So here it is. So it's a little stylus with, let's see, you can see that little, here we go, I'll put it in front of my face so you can see it better. There you go. The little stylus, and you scoop up beeswax with it. Heat it up in a candle, and it's sort of like using a wax crayon, and you grab an egg and you trace a wax pattern on that egg, and then you dip it in a dye, and wherever you have that wax, you don't have the color. So then you put another layer of wax on, so you dip it in yellow first, do some wax, you have that yellow color. You then dip it in green, and everything place where you had that wax won't turn green, it's still yellow. And you can keep building up these different colors. So it's sort of like batik. What you end up with is something like these. So it's pretty, it takes a long time to do. Like this is probably my favorite one. This took me like, I don't know, an entire weekend, and I worked most of the weekend on it. So it's a little more time intensive than a typical Easter egg, but I think they're fun and they're pretty cool to do. So each one of those colors was done one at a time with using that wax stylus. So what we're going to be doing an activity, not with these eggs, because I'm going to be leaving these out on the beach, but we're going to be doing them with rock eggs. So I've painted like about a dozen rocks. I'm not going to show you all of them because we want it to be a surprise. You got to find them. Roughly egg-shaped rocks. There are some various sizes. I've painted them to look like Easter eggs. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put these in various places at the beach in Seal Harbor, right across from the Abbey Chapel. And I'm going to do it probably sometime on Saturday. I will do it before Easter morning. And your task is to find them. So it's sort of an on your own Easter egg hunt, since we can't gather for an Easter egg hunt. And I'm doing rocks because eggs aren't going to last on the beach. They could disappear or probably get eaten by the seagulls and other critters. So I'm going to have these painted rocks that will look, and some of them will have words on them. Some of them have little symbols or whatever other decorations on them. So there's about a dozen of them. And, I'll make sure there's exactly 12. So you can try to find them all. I'm hoping no one else. So when you find them, leave it there for the next person. And I'm hoping if anyone else finds the eggs, they're going to leave them. So there should be 12 there if everyone leaves them alone. And as I said, I'll have them there by Sunday morning. So when you find them, like, you can just go and find them if you want, but if you want to have even more fun, take pictures of them and post the photos of them to the Seaside UCC Facebook page to show which ones you found and see if you can find all 12. So that is it for this Sunday school session. I hope you have a wonderful Easter, and I will see you next time.